I have my good friend Craig Hunter here with me, who is the principal at Kalamunda Christian School. And today we're going to talk about parent-school partnerships. So, Craig, as we dive into this, what are some of the things that we need to think about or consider when we're starting to look at parent-school partnerships?
And
you know what I mean?
It is a challenge. I mean, you think a generation ago, different world we lived in, mums had time to get involved in the canteen and serve and help, and it was a different world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of pressure. You know, we're paying off a mortgage, we're involved in a lot of things. So often we're time poor. I think the other shift in our culture is around consumerism. So we've got our loyalty cards, we've got our points, our discounts, our benefits, and our culture is like, look, I'm paying for my kids at school or paying fees, and I expect them to do that. I'll do my thing. School can do their things. Yeah. This idea of partnership, it's like, I'm really busy, and I need you to be doing your thing so I can do my thing. And that's a challenge, I think, in our world in terms of what that means for parents. Yeah,
it's almost a consumer mindset, isn't it?
It is. I mean, certainly, traditionally, schools are loco parentis. That was the idea that, like during the day, schools would take over the responsibility for parenting and then give it back. So that idea is now not a legal term that's used.
Okay.
And one of the big shifts is certainly the state, the government saying, look, we need to be responsible for kids. And so we're going to bring in legislation. And I heard just recently that they empowering kids with hotlines to go, look, if you see anything at school or at home you don't like, ring this number and we'll act on your behalf. And so that's just shifting some of those power balances, and I don't think it's a healthy thing.
No, that doesn't sound healthy
No,
at all.
And so one of the things I'm really passionate about is working with parents as much as we can for their kids. Yeah. Obviously, according to legislation, so kids are safe, but ultimately parents are the ones responsible for kids. So let's do all we can to work together.
Okay, so it's working out how to get parents involved in a school and working with them and communicating with them. I know back in the day, parent-teacher interviews and things like that was something that I never gave my parents the slip for to go through.
Now it's online, it's email. That email got lost somewhere. Yeah.
But is that kind of the starting point where parents can get involved with the school, or is it P&C, or is it just talking to the school? Like how does that
I think work? It's getting in front of that, and I think that every teacher wants the best thing for the kids. And so the more that the teacher can know that as a parent, hey, I'm for you, I'm with you. Homework, behaviour, expectations, what can I do to help? What can we do to work together? That kind of language is powerful. And if we email, talk to the teacher before and after school, send them communication around that space, I think that's going to be a really powerful posture.
If we're thinking about state increasing the influence, like you just said, around like hotlines and things like that, what are things that parents can do to be engage with their school, because I don't think all schools are doing that.
No, and it's not. And again, it's one of those things that's for trying to help kids, but in the process, I think it takes away some of the rights of parents, and this is always the challenge of competing rights. I think the key is going to be having those clear conversations with kids, often, which is often hard when they say, "How was school today?" and they go, "Good." Anything wrong? Good. Like minimal conversation. But I think it's just being aware of what's going on culturally, and then in the culture of your school and the leadership and the parents and communication. Do everything you can to be engaged.
Yep.
Because it's easy not to be thinking, that's not my area.
Yep.
But it is. It's important to be engaged as parents.
So being engaged as parents means actually being aware of what's happening in the school, communicating with the school, connecting with the school.
Yeah, that's right.
As much as the school's trying to reach out to you, it's your role.
It is. It's our responsibility and our essential thing to do that. And that's what partnership looks like as well.
Now, one of the things that you and I were sort of talking about in the break there, Craig, was about how does... As Christians, how does our faith play into how we connect and advocate in schools and that partnership role? Can you maybe touch on that for a little bit, and then we'll dive back into some of the other stuff? I mean,
the Bible says, train up a child in the way he or she should go, so when they're old, they won't depart from it. So we've got a responsibility to raise our kids to know God, to love God, to walk in those ways. Now, it's their choice to do that. We do everything we can to encourage them and model that as well. What that looks like in a school is this. Obviously, there's different kinds of schools that our kids and our families are going to, but certainly in some schools, it might be a bit harder. If it's a school where that's not encouraged, I think we do it respectfully. We do it with firm boundaries. Like this is our values, And so we expect this or that. I know it's happened a few times. My friends have had to go into schools and talk to the teacher or the deputy or the principal and say, look, they're reading this material and I don't want that for my child.
Yeah, okay.
Can they come out of this class? There's other families that feel the same way. And I don't think that's fair that our children have to be exposed to this kind of thing. Yeah. I think it's worth drilling into the curriculum. If it's not in the curriculum, they shouldn't be learning some things.
Yeah, okay.
If there's certain values being presented. Now, I remember a few years ago, Harry Potter was a big thing. Like, I was like, no one should read Harry Potter. Now we're kind of like, you know what? It's good storytelling and kids can understand the difference between imagination and between some of the other stuff going on. So a lot of schools, Christian schools, ban Harry Potter.
Yep.
I think it's about relationship, respect, coming in low but coming in firm, and just holding that line that, hey, I'm in charge. I'm the parent here.
Yeah.
And you don't get to decide what happens to my child. And so I'm going to advocate for that as a parent.
Yeah.
And just be mindful of those things and then do it in a way that's respectful but firm. Because we've got to hold our line, parents and friends, committees, all those things we get involved in helps us to shape the culture of that school. And that's powerful as a parent, I think.
So that's the power of if you're committed, connected, and you're a voice in the school.
Yeah.
And I'm not a voice in the school with the kids. Your voice is going to get heard because you're actually in that space.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm sitting, pulling back. That's why it's important for us to sit in and advocate and partner with our schools.
Yeah, that's right. And do it in a way that you're serving as well. You're that parent that's involved in Parents and Friends, serving with Busy Bees, and so people go, yeah, I can see that you're invested. You're not one of those crazy people on that extreme. And so that's important that we push back on some of the culture that's coming at us and the legislation that's coming in, that we're not going to put up with stuff that's not helpful for our kids.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to effective communication within the school and building partnerships, what does that look like from how we engage with teachers and parents? What's best practice look like?
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying. Look, I've blown this one myself. When I got annoyed at a situation and we just go in all guns blazing and doing that. I had a situation once where hilarious when I look back on it, but at the time it was quite unpleasant. In the foyer at the school, at a different school I was at, this mum came in and just started berating me. My child would, basically the child punched another kid in the face in the line. The teacher saw it. The parent comes in and goes, my child told me that they didn't do it. My child would never do that. And my child never lies. I feel like going, oh my goodness, where do I start? So she's just shouting at me, and they shouldn't get a detention. That's not okay. So I'm basically said to her, look, either the teacher's lying or your child's lying. Yeah, you've trusted to put your child in our school. Yeah. So how do we land this thing here? And I think that aggressive kind of us and them thing, it doesn't model stuff for our kids. Yeah, it doesn't help them. I think that the key is help me understand what's going on here. And we advocate for our kids, but we do have to trust the school and those processes. It is hard when we feel like things aren't being resolved. And I get parents pushing back on that towards me, but I can't go, look, this is the 7th detention and the 6th conversation we've had with this other family about their child and some of the stuff they've done. But I think we advocate and then we work with the teachers and the principals, and then we've got to find a way through, but it's got to be respectful, open. Yeah. I get pushing back because that's helpful, but try and do it in a respectful way, which is hard with the emotion that we feel like our kid's not being protected. So I get the tension, but we've got to try and maintain that sense of respect with advocacy as well. Yeah, okay. So being respectful in how we advocate is a key to that. It's tough though. I can imagine it would be tough, particularly when you're invested in a situation and it's your child that's been hurt or your child that's been involved in it. If someone has that area of conflict or needing to do that, like as you said, respectful, is there any other tips that you could give them in the way they could communicate effectively, particularly if it's a long-term issue? Yeah, I think go through a chain of command. So you're always starting with the teacher, then you go into maybe a head of learning area, and then you go to the principal. You document everything, because when you document, you can say, you said this on this date. And again, not to try and like a legal thing, but hold those people to account. You know, like you said this on this date, and you said that, and you said you would do this. Okay. This is an incident that's happened, and that way there's a paper trail, and that's important. Yep. I think the other side to that is choose your battles. I think that as parents, sometimes we've got to go, look, is this really worth fighting? Or this is not, and I've made that mistake of going in half. I often talk around the kitchen table. We have a chat, and then I'm like, I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they did that. And all of a sudden, I'm in the office, having a go at the teacher or the school. Then I find out that there's another part of the story that my kid, who always tells their side you know what I mean, that they're right and they didn't quite tell me the other bits that happened, and then that makes it really awkward because you've gone in there like all guns blazing, not realising there's a whole other part of the story that I missed out on, that actually my child also was being annoying and did these things I didn't know about.
As well that you didn't know about.
So choose your battles, get your facts straight, come in, help me understand, and then find a way through together.
And do your best to do it all with respect and grace and dignity.
Oh, that's it, Doug. Yeah, that's the tough bit. And just get involved. Like, I mean, just got just some things around. Get involved in the canteen, excursions, prayer group, busy bees, fathering projects, great. Yeah. Anywhere that we can get involved in the school, we build relationship. We build relationship with other families, with the kids. Yeah. And we're part of that village rather than just my autonomous child in this context. The classic line that I've also been guilty of is, listen, don't play with Johnny at all, ever. Don't even talk to him. At recess, lunch, in class, don't even look at him. And we have all these kind of like structural things that as if like that child is going to corrupt my child completely. I've done that as myself. It's tough. Yeah,
that would be a tough one. Craig, one of the things that I wanted to touch on with you is sometimes there's like positive involvement. I shouldn't say sometimes. We want positive involvement from
every now and then. There's something positive.
Every now and then there's something positive. But sometimes there's examples that you've gone through where you've seen or had conversations and you've seen a shift in the way people or parents understand or relate to stuff. Can you maybe give us a couple?
Yeah, I mean, I think about one of my sons in grade 2 or grade 3. You know, they were struggling at school. They were getting headaches. They were being kept in at lunch and recess because they weren't doing their work. And it was this frustrating loop of going, what's happening? You know, my child, we're doing everything we can to help him. Then the teacher goes, look, I'm just thinking, maybe just get your son's eyes checked. That could be an issue. And then get his eyes checked. Turns out he was legally blind.
Wow.
So we felt like the worst parents in the world because we hadn't had it checked out. But the poor kid couldn't even see the board, couldn't even read what he was doing. And he was getting headaches because of all the pressure of trying to see things he didn't know he couldn't see. And so that was a good example of just working with the teacher to get a diagnosis, to go, this is going to help us. And I think that's a general thing. I think a lot of parents are still reluctant to get diagnosis for their kids in case it's a stigma or a label. But if that diagnosis, I mean, in this case, reading and glasses is going to help them, surely that's a good thing. And as we know now, we've got funding and all kinds of things with that. But I think it's really important to see that teachers are partners with us as well. And we need to work with them, not see them as the ones that are trying to get my kids in trouble. And sometimes that stems from our own bad experiences, maybe at school. I didn't like maths at school and I hated my art teacher. So probably you're going to hate art as well and you're going to hate maths as well. So, well, maybe you need to deal with your own stuff so your kid can actually do better at school. That might be helpful as well.
Yeah. And no, I think you're definitely right there. I know for myself, like when it comes to schools and my engagement in schools, when I've worked with young people and that, the schools are generally pretty positive in wanting to engage if you're willing to put your hand up and say, hey, how can we help? How can we partner? How can we work together? And I think your example of the teacher advocating on your son's behalf around the eyesight, have you thought about this? Have you checked this out? I think teachers see things that we don't see because they get to spend so much time with our kids in that part of life.
They are, and they're professionals, you know, and I think we forget that the teachers, it's like when you go to the doctor and the doctor says something, we don't go, oh, I'll just weigh that one up and I'll Google it. And I think that teachers aren't perfect like doctors, but we're professionals who know what we're doing, who do see things and see patterns and see trends, have been around for many years, so take their advice. And I think, I know that one of our frustrations in schools is that often we'll say, hey, look, really, I know it's a long wait, but maybe try and get some diagnosis or some help. We'll try and help you with that and we'll try and open some doors. No, I don't want to do that. So, well, your kid's suffering as a result of that. And the research is that between kindy and grade 2, it's a critical time to do intervention that can help a lot of the time. Those early years can help them and they can actually get through that stuff and that sets them up for life. So it is essential as parents we listen, we work together with that stuff.
Yeah, and we put our own issues aside.
We do, yeah, that's right. Or that horrible teacher we had that really annoyed us.
Yes, no, definitely. Now, Craig, one of the things that is prevalent in society today, but also something I think schools are doing really well across the board, or trying to do really well across the board, is helping our young people when it comes to their mental health. How can schools partner with parents around supporting their kids with mental health, if there's areas of neurodivergency and all those things? What can we do better from both sides?
I think schools are really working hard in this space, and it's shifting again that neurodivergency is not a stigma or a thing to be, like a leper kind of thing. It's more like, how do we help people and show compassion? That's it. Not how to fix them. How do we help them? And so, I mean, even things like Friday night we had a paper planes night, the Fathering Project. We had 100 dads and kids come along, throwing paper planes, having fun, bit of banter, and it was just fun. So now some kids are going to struggle with it, but it's inclusive. And so I think any way that a school can create community and be inclusive, it's so powerful. We're talking off air about the range, that schools can be that third space.
Yes.
But for some kids, it's the only kind of routine and safe space they have.
Yeah.
So let's do that well.
That's right.
That's one part of it. And I think also the referral system. Now, schools, teachers now, we joke about them being counsellors and almost pseudo parents, but teachers are there to do teaching and learning. They're not there to cater for all those things. That they're doing their best, and schools are doing their best. But we've got to somehow get involved and create schools as places that are communities, are villages, again, that create that sense of belonging for all of our kids.
Okay.
And then in terms of when we have those situations come up, let's use our counsellors, our chaplains. Let's refer to them. Let's get help. Let's put strategies in place that's going to help everyone. And it's training both sides. It's not just like, I was thinking about a school I went to recently in Adelaide, and they're training the kids. If someone's got high needs and they're non-verbal, but they can be sometimes hit and flapping at them, it's like, okay, what's a strategy that you can do to connect with this child that doesn't know how to explain it, but they're frustrated?
Yeah.
Rather than going, oh, that kid's just really strange, I don't want to be around them. No, let's learn how to show compassion and include this kid in that world. And so that's the other side of it, isn't it? Training our kids to have compassion, how to help each other, as well as helping our kids that maybe have some different needs as well. So that idea of compassion, help, community, so powerful. We've got to keep being intentional.
Very
but as
much.
parents, rather than doing the whole don't play with that kid, he's strange, or that one, let's find ways to include people in that space. Very challenging for schools, but really important.
You touched on a point there that you made the comment about the school. It's important for schools to become a village. I like that idea and concept that a school is creating a safe space where parents and students can be involved and be connected. Is there a process around that where that comes out of conversations through the PNC, like you said, the Fathering Project and things that you guys are
really
running?
good.
Are there how does that get birthed in a school?
Well, I think it's like all that stuff through parents and friends, through the school community. I heard about a school that's a tough school down south towards Armidale that my son was working at, and he said they do lots of cool things like sports games, bonfire nights in a tough kind of demographic area. And so I think the school can do that, but I think the parents and friends go, hey, look, we want to put this on. We're going to put on a before school sausage sizzle. We're going to put on a dads versus kids soccer game, invite people along, and just creating that thing. So our parents and friends actually host little parties in the park. Just come along, 10 o'clock Saturday morning, and let's just meet in the playground.
That's cool.
The mums will go out roller skating. We've got a big roller skating rink up in Kalamunda, so some of them will do that. So anything that creates community and connection is worth it.
It's definitely worth it. Okay. When it comes to school uniforms, all those sort of things, I know that obviously discipline in the school. Drop that bomb. I was never great at a school uniform. I must admit that. I had very many confrontations with teachers about making sure my uniform was correct. But how can parents partner with the schools to carry through and make sure discipline is understood or uniforms are worn and all those things that help make the school's life easier, but also the family and the kids understand as well? Yeah,
I mean, and I guess it starts at home, around the dinner table. How we speak about the school, how we speak about respect. Hey, that's the rules. We've got to follow the rules. And it's funny is that in most workplaces have certain rules that we have to follow, and yet for some reason at school we want to give our kids a free pass. But if we understand uniforms, to use that example, is about belonging and identity, and pride in what you wear and what you do. If you work at McDonald's, you have to wear a uniform. You can't even. I think you can't even have piercings.
No.
So that's the rule. If you want a job at McDonald's, you follow those rules.
Yep.
And we've got to teach our kids that it's not about autonomous self, that I can do whatever I want. No one tells me what to do. Well, how's that working out in our world?
Yeah.
We've sometimes got to follow the rules, follow the instructions for the sake of community. It's not just about you. It's about being part of something bigger than yourself and then following those rules are actually really important for yourself and for our world.
Yeah, no, that's great. Hey, if you could wrap this up in like one thought for one of the family out there who might be going, well, I want to get involved with my school. What's the best way to do that on the back of this conversation? What would be your tip?
I'd say find out about Parents and Friends Committee. I know Beck's part of hers and is quite involved, our producer.
Yeah.
And I think also just saying, what can I do as some other parents so we can create something at our school to create community, to create that village?
Yeah,
do it.